So the recording is on. This is Design 301. It's a lecture. It's Tuesday the 2nd at 1 o'clock. We're on our Google Meet. And we're going over week 2 of your industry choice drawings. And so I'll put the recording up. I was asked about class standards for like what layer is what and what is this and what is that. So it's now, I find it's appropriate to go ahead and post the class standards. So if you're making a mechanical drawing, you would try to follow these. I don't know what that says. Yes, Mecca. Why that's on there. Civil, you would use this. And then there's some ground rules. And using model space and paper space. And how to do dimensions and mechanical sectioning rules. And here's some AutoCAD drawing templates and some things that you can practice. So there you go. Civil, mechanical. I don't know why I don't have the architectural on here. But they kind of follow along this one pretty well. So there's some class standards for you that you can go by. If you use the ones that are in my resource file, you'll probably be doing okay. And so there we go. Oh, and there is a collaboration activity that I want to go over just so that you can see. And so supposedly you posted your work here. A few people did. A few people got them posted in here. Kind of some neat stuff. So the goal now is to provide feedback. So go into one of those and give a reply. And just very simple. You just state work is not complete. What you think is halfway done for the project. It does or does not meet standards. And if it does, provide some example. The line weights look appropriate. The dimensions have the right arrows and the ticks. The text is 1/8 high or does not meet standards. Okay. The layer, it should be plotted black and white, things like that. And work is or is not laid out properly. Now, sometimes that it doesn't matter, but if you're doing mechanical, you might say, oh, I see the top view and the side view got misplaced with each other or something like that. So that's your collaborative work to get you used to how to do checking. Okay. So let's go ahead and there were a few things that I wanted to demonstrate based on the progress check submittals. And the first one was the Simi Valley project. So 1 or 2 people did the Simi Valley project. So here's a version of it. And you can see there's a site plan. And I've done some stuff. I've made these sub-regions that I can show you about, but mostly I want to show you about these section views and how to work with these section views, and then how to work with the ramp. So I'm going to go into the 3D view first to talk about this ramp, and I'm holding the shift down, moving around. And what I noticed is a couple of people had a hard time getting this ramp to match up. So I'm going to click on the ramp. And over here, I made it 88 feet on the low side. And I made it 104 feet over here. And then it kind of got modeled in. So I had to remove some items to get it down underneath. But that's pretty much how I got this to match in. So look, I could make the top going to take a while. It's hard for it to do these ramps. Regenerating, regenerating, regenerating. You can see it down here. It has to do a lot of regenerate. Oh, it's okay. See how it's kind of up in the air? So if yours is up in the air, you need to take one of those sides and get it closer to what you want it. So I'm going to bring it back to that 104. Top offset. And I'm counting from level 1. And now it's going to take a while again to put it back. So that's the first thing that I want to do. And that's really cool. And I made these different material shapes. We can look at that too in just a moment. But that's what's called making a sub-region. So if I click on massing in site and I make a sub-region, I can basically just trace lines and do stuff. I'll just make one out here. And I'll make that one a different material. I'll make it carpet. You can do these things called sub-regions. Oh, there's something. It doesn't like something about that. Let's see. I'll delete my spot dimension. So you can make these colored areas called sub-regions to make it look more like there's my concrete and there's my dirt. So that's just kind of a cool thing if that's what you were doing. I'm going to Control Z out of that thing. So once you got your ramp, you can make concrete and dirt and do all sorts of cool stuff. Now, I want to put in what's called a section view. And those show up in my browser. And I can just look at them and, wow, isn't that cool? Now, if I did a program called Civil 3D, oh my gosh, this is so much easier. It's made for it. And so you'll find most civil engineers prefer the program Autodesk Civil 3D to Revit. But if you're doing a big project that has to integrate with lots of other people, it's good to know this. And tell you the truth, our department sort of decided that we didn't want to teach one more program, Civil 3D, to do this because we can do it. So let me show you how to do this. Okay, and there's all these other cool sections. That's what it looks like, and center line of the off-ramp, center line of the freeway, and all this kind of stuff. Okay, so I'm going to come up to put a section view in. And if you have the opportunity, I'd like you to do a few of them. I'll put one more in way down here, just to show you how to do it. Okay, you go to Views, Section, click, drag. And there it is. And I can move this dot so that it's a little bit lower. Come on, I know I can get one of those to move. In any case, I've got it. And now, if this is really big, there's these two tiny little arrows right there. You want those to be kind of short. And there it is. It's called Section 3. Oh my gosh, it looks horrible. So what do I have to do? First of all, if I hover over it, I realize that there's an import. And I don't want to see my imported stuff. I just want to see what I drew. So I'll right click, hide in view that element. Oh, that's much nicer. But I don't know why it's not showing me the rest. Hold on a sec. Why is that not showing me the rest? It should. Maybe there wasn't enough to show. I'm going to override these graphics. There's something there. My projection lines I can make dark and heavy and things like that. I'll let you play around with it. My surface patterns and my foreground, I'm going to make it earth. I'm going to look down here for earth. I'll make it earth. Make that earth. Wherever earth went. And my cut, I'll make those earth also. Sometimes you just have to play around with all this kind of stuff. Till you find all the right things. Let's just see what there it goes. Now it shows up. So by playing with those, I got this to show up. Now this scale looks too big because that's too huge. So I can change my scale to make it look a little bit more normal. I can pull these in. And I can see I probably want this to show maybe just a little bit darker. So I'll override that category and maybe I'll make that one darker and give it a little bit more oomph. So this is playing around in here. Then if you can identify what some of this is, it's cool. So sort of in the middle, that's the freeway. And then I'm not really able to show much of the ramp. So this is this kind of flat section. It's not perfectly flat. There's a little bit of a hump to it. But that's the main roadway. So this right here, where there's a little bit of a hump, is probably the main roadway. Although this could be, let's see, there's that. No, that's the main roadway. And that's my westbound lane, my eastbound lane, and where it drops down a little bit is the median. So I can annotate that. The median. Westbound freeway. There we go. And then I can hide my little crop. So that's kind of cool. If I need to, I can even put in a little detail line right here. It's sort of hidden, and I can do what's called a spot elevation right there. To give just the idea of what my elevation of the freeway at that point is. So that's how you make a section view. And if you got this kind of done, you may wish to put a few in here. Isn't that the coolest thing? And then eventually they can show up. I don't think I've got them very well. Yeah, here's a typical sheet where you would see all of these lined up. This is how a Caltrans sheet might end up being with all of these, and they'd be labeled 00. That's your mark for the that's your marker for the start of the survey, and this would be going east 5 chains, so that would be 500 feet plus 0. So E5 plus 00 would be 500 feet plus 0, so it's right on 500 feet. 1,100 feet west, 600 feet. So 2, 8, just kind of cruising through there, getting some different ones in there. So people can kind of get the idea of what it's like, and they would use this for drainage and all sorts of stuff. But for you, the important thing would be to take the site plan, see if you can do these things called, from massing and site, subregions, to get these colors set. Okay, and you can make it concrete. And then to add a couple of sections, just to show that you can do it. So that's kind of cool stuff. That's your civil work if you happen to have done this one. Okay? So there's that. And then the other thing that was of interest to a lot of people was the attributed blocks. So many of you did blocks. And believe me, we're going to have an opportunity to do even more with blocks for your week 2, for your project number 2. If you want to do more, you can do what are called dynamic blocks as well. So that would be your project number 2 would be to use dynamic blocks. But here we go. I'm going to make a block, and I'm going to show you how to put attributes in it. I did this last week, but if you want to continue, if you got the blocks all made and the drawing done, and you showed all your blocks and you did the export, you're fine. You're done. You're good. But if you want to do some of the attributes, then I'm going to show that again because it's really cool. It's really kind of neat stuff. And this time, I think I'll use a gear drawing, because we'll be able to make this into an attributed block later on. So, and a dynamic block. So there's my line. I'm going to bring in from my resource file, DC, and I'll look at my open drawings, and I'll bring in some layers. So I'm going to need my geometry and my hidden. And I might as well do text. And just for fun, I'll bring in a mechanical A size to have that. And that means I'll probably need a def points. Okay. Now I'm going to put in another circle. And that one's going to be my pitch diameter. And that's how gears are often drawn. You've got the outside, and you just have a circle for the pitch diameter. And that's fine. You can make sure those things, pitch diameters, match up exactly. Now let me put this one on the geometry layer. And I'm going to put a hole through the middle of it. And I'll put a hub on it. So now I've got a gear. I can make it 3D later on if I want. I haven't said how I'm going to drive the gear. I don't know if it's going to be a keyway, if it's going to be a spline, if it's going to be a tapered collet, a dog tooth, a spring clutch. Haven't really shown. I've just got a basic gear. Okay, and so if I want to make this into a block that has the information, then I want to do that. So I'm going to write down some of the information just so that I've got it. I'm just going to dimension this thing a bit. And I don't care that these aren't real gears right now. There's some information about the gear, but then there's other information to know. So let's see, what other information might I know? I'm going to use the text layer. Actually, sorry about that. I'm going to define an attribute now. And this is going to be my gear outside diameter, and I'm not typing very well. And again, I'm going to make it invisible eventually. And then there's something called the pitch diameter. That's where they actually physically contact each other. Another thing that we always know about gears is the gear face width. That's really important. When you're doing power, you want to know about those things. Now, we did the pitch diameter. Now we're going to do the diametral pitch. It's something different. It's kind of like how many teeth per inch, sort of, are there. So I've got that, I've got that. Now I need my bore. And of course, I'm going to need to know what material it's made out of. That really has a lot to do with things. Now remember, I can make a block out of this. Now at this point, all of these things are going to match up with the size of this anyway. But next week, you're going to see how I can make this a dynamic block where you can resize these to match exactly with these. It's so cool. So with one block that I've made, I can basically just type some stuff in and it's going to create the gears for me. At least my gear block. But for right now, I'm going to create a block that is going to be I'll call it my drive gear. I'll pick that midpoint. And I'm going to pick these in order. They go in the right order. And I'm going to convert it to a block. Isn't this so cool? 8.6042, 8.0812, and these aren't real gears. I'm going to say that that's a 1.5 inch thick, and it's a 24 DP. That's really huge, a huge number of teeth. I'll make it a 16. That's a lot of teeth. Now, what was this? 2.004. And I'll make it a bronze, a brass gear. Oh, and it all disappeared. But if I double click on this thing, I'll see all of that information back. So that's how you make an attribute out of this. Oh, I forgot to put these on there. Darn it. That's okay. Remember to put everything in there. So if I need to, I'd need to explode this. And redefine that block. Make sure I get all of my points. So see how I exploded it and then I redefined it using the same old name and say, yep, redefine it. Here we go again. I'll get it right. 8.604. But this is cool. $16 is still pretty small. There we go. Got that thing. That's really cool. So now when I double click on it, my information still comes up. And of course, if I were to put two of these together, I could actually type this in and get it what I wanted, but I'm going to put them in the same. I don't really know. What's missing on here is my my angle, my pitch angle. Um, but I'll make this one steel. So I have one that will strip and the one that won't. And that's kind of how you do gear drawings. The trick being is you need to be able to change these sizes. But I'm going to do that next week. Only so much at once. Now you know how to make a block, make attributes, insert the block, and get more information out of it. And so now I want to do that extract data thing. So I'll create a new one. Find a place. Remember, what I'm doing now is letting AutoCAD know the definition of what I'm talking about. So I'll go ahead and select those two objects. I want to know about the blocks. And I want to know about the attributes. And those are the things I want to know for each one. And that all looks good. I get all that cool information. This time, I'm going to do something a little different. Last time I put it into the drawing. This time, I'm going to save it as a file because I might need to send this information to somebody. So I can save it as an Excel file, a CSV, a text file. I'll save it as an Excel file. Let's go and look. There's my Excel file. So now I can send data to somebody about it. Now there's a few things. It comes in a horrible font. So there are some things you need to do, right? This font is terrible. And these are not really well done. Let's see. You can highlight these and Alt-Enter puts it onto another line. So you could go back and kind of fix this stuff up a little bit. And these, what's it telling me? It's formatted as text. No, I want those all to be numbers. Convert those to a number. There's all sorts of stuff you can do to fix this up now, to make it like you want it to be. I actually don't use Excel anymore as much as I use the Google one. But look, now you can send information via email to somebody in a way that they can figure out. That's kind of a cool thing. And so if you have gear sets and all that kind of all of your attributes you can set up that way. Oh, well, there it goes. I don't know why it keeps telling me that, but there we go. So there's your demonstration for the civil work. And for more on how to do an attribute, and you're just welcome to, in whichever, whether you did landscape or interior design or anything like that, you're welcome to do these. I think somebody else was doing the architecture one, and I may need to demo that one on Thursday, but I'll take a look at that for Thursday. Any questions on what's up in kind of finishing up your industry choice? Oh, the other thing I want you to remember, because this was one that I made a lot of comments on. I'm going to come back home and I'm going to put myself into def points and go to my layout and put this in here. Now remember, these things being in model space, they're not going to show up right. They're too small. I'm going to go into my model and I'm going to erase those. And I'm going to adjust my scale. There we go. And I'm going to go back to my piece of paper. Okay, so I'm on my piece of paper. And now I can go back and go to my text. And see how they're the correct size now? They're big enough. They are the right size. And if what you drew had 2 decimal places, you would want to change that to 2 decimal places. So be sure you're taking care to do all those things. And you can do that 2 decimal places by taking a dim style, mechanical XX, and changing the properties so that the dim style is mechanical XX. Okay, and that's got the right size for a mechanical one. Now the other part is after you've done your work down here, put your name and scope and all that stuff on. Your snip and your plot should be of your plot preview. Should be in black and white. So let's see how to do that. Here's my A up at the top. Print. Plot. I'll just do one sheet. And I have to set it up. It's going to Adobe. But I want to make sure that it's black and white. So either grayscale or monochrome, it won't matter. I'll give it pretty good quality. It'll be the best I can do. It'll be letter size. It'll be my layout. And regardless of the scale of my viewport, my plot, I want this page to be the same size as the page, 1-to-1. Preview. That's how it should look. So I can plot it to PDF, or I can take my snip here. Now, I'd like to get this as big as I can. So that when I do my snip, it's as big as possible, because my snip is a very low resolution snip. So I need that to be big, 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 so I don't lose resolution. And then, of course, I need to get rid of that little thing. Now I've got, that's going to come out really nice looking. Okay, I've got good line weights. I've got good colors. These ones are the right size. And then if I need to, I can take a snip of this too and add it into my presentation. Okay, so does that help you guys? Notice that little extra line going across is gone. Notice it's black and white. I've got good line weights. Try to get this all filled out well. This is for your industry standard drawings, unless the color is there for rendering on purpose. We usually do black and white. Okay, so there's that. I'll go ahead and plot that just anyway, just so I've got it somewhere. There. There's my plot. There, I've got it as a PDF. Okay. Any questions at this point?
I do have a question.
Yeah.
On the extracted data, does it all have to be on the same sheet for the interior design?
No.
Okay.
No, particularly, I mean, if you're going to do that, you'll need to go to a larger size sheet or a much smaller one. But no, as a matter of fact, you might even want to do this extraction to a separate file.
Okay.
Because then people can count, right?
Yeah, no, I tried to put it on one sheet and it definitely didn't work. So that's
yeah,
that's what
yeah, no. Put them on 2 sheets and or add it onto here so that you can count and get volumes and all that stuff.
Okay.
Cool.
Thank you.
Okay. Any other good questions? Okay, then I'm going to stop the recording.